In 2018, nearly 10,000 people died from natural disasters. Of those 10,000, roughly 120 of them died due to man-made disasters such as bridge collapses or structural failures. The failure we're going to be analyzing today is the Dallas, Texas crane collapse that occurred earlier this month. There's three main factors we're going to look at, the first of which is the high winds, the second of which is the microburst possibility that could have occurred, and the third of which is going to be operator error. Now, these factors are extremely important to engineers and contractors like myself because we are striving to send everyone home every day after work. There should be no industry where people die. And in a crane collapse such as this, which killed a young lady, it really it hits hard with us. And so we ask questions such as, why did this happen? How did it happen? And how can we prevent this from occurring in the future? And we do this by analyzing a couple of factors like we're going to do here today. So the first factor we're going to analyze is the high winds. The forecast, as stated by CBS DFW on June 9th, was stated that there was potential for high winds with gusts up to 70 miles an hour, a large amount of storm systems with the potential for tornadic events such as microbursts. That moves us on to our second point. Microbursts are a phenomenon where a large portion of high-pressure air moves down rapidly at the ground, and because the air cannot penetrate the ground, it then must spread out, a lot like a splash. So when this occurs, it is almost impossible to prevent a structure from failing if it is susceptible to the levels of winds that occur here. Because of this, Tom Witherspoon is a civil engineer in Dallas. He's a correspondent with NBC DFW, and in his analysis, he stated that this microburst likely caused the winds to be in the area of 90 to 100 miles an hour, or maybe even higher. This is important because the initial estimates of 70 mile an hour wind gusts are significantly lower, and the crane was only rated for 95 miles an hour anyways. So our third point is operator error. Paul Cannon has a good article out talking about why this is a textbook operator error case if this should make it to court, which it currently is in court. There's two main things, but we're going to only discuss the most important one, the high wind release brake. Now, on any crane, there is a high wind release brake that is designed so that when the crane encounters a high wind moving this way, it actually allows the crane to rotate like a wind vane and allows the wind to only be putting pressure on a very small portion, much like my elbow here is extremely small compared to the length of my arm. So if that is not operating properly or was not put into service correctly, then that is a liability issue, and that obviously was likely a major factor in the crane collapse that occurred in Dallas earlier this month. So to conclude this, I just want you to really understand that it could have been a combination of these three factors. We know that high winds caused it. Cranes don't fall over on their own. We know that a microburst was likely the culprit because the crane was rated for 95 miles an hour. But if it was not a microburst, it was likely operator error. The mechanism was not secured properly or set into motion correctly. And that is, those scenarios are our most likely scenarios that we'll hear about from the OSHA investigations later this year. So, in conclusion, I want to ask you: does an analysis like this, does it give a desire for you to go and analyze some kind of problem or issue or disaster that occurred in your industry? It doesn't have to result in loss of life or anything like that, but just really consider whether or not you want to go out and research the factors that occur when something like this happens. And then finally, I want you to go find the video of the crane collapse. It's everywhere. It's on every news site. YouTube has it, I'm sure, 1,000,001 times. So go on YouTube, go watch the video, and only watch the portion before the crane collapses, because that's the important portion. That's what the engineers will watch. And when we watch that, I want you to notice how the crane seems to fall backwards. Now this, I want you to make your own determination as to what you think caused that, and then keep that to yourself, and then follow the investigation and see if you were right. Because I promise you, you may be surprised at how right you can be.